Welcome to our 30-ish minute middle split series. This one here is to open up the hips, help to open up the legs, and if you're having absolutely any issues with your hips, this should make you feel good. We're gonna start with our drop stance squats. Everyone's in a nice wide stance, one foot directly pressed against the wall. The other foot is out. Again, checking in with the outside foot to make sure that the angle of the foot is only about a 5 to 10 degree turnout at the max. Everyone's gonna reach their hands forward. Counterbalance that by reaching your butt back and bending the outside leg into the lowest squat you can, and stand back up. Beautiful. And again, arms forward, drop into the lowest squat, make sure that inside leg stays straight, and back up. There's two. Everyone down, reach forward, and back up for three. Down, pay attention to the outside knee, make sure it presses out towards your pinky toe, and up. There's four. Again, active glutes, active legs, and up. There's five. That's halfway down, and back up. Beautiful, team. There's six. Again, down, and we're active glutes on the way down on both sides, and back up. Squeeze your butt. Good. Seven, three more. Down, and up. Beautiful. Eight, down, and up for 9. Last one, we're gonna hold, so reach, find the bottom, stay active. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stand. Great. And second side, so hands reach forward, send the butt back, go down as low as you can on the outside foot, and push back up. Very nice. There's one. Everyone down. Notice if the toes on the inside foot are lifting up. And lift. Beautiful. There's two. Everyone down. Try and keep the glutes tight here to protect your hips. And up. Yeah. There's three. Down. Good. And check in with the outside foot as we come up. Good. Make sure that foot hasn't turned out. We only want about a 5 degree turnout. Everyone go down and back up. Beautiful. There's four. Down, use the arms to counter reach the butt going back, and up for 5. Down, back up. There's 6. Again, down, back up. Beautiful. For 7, again, active glutes here. Down, and up. There's 8. Last 2. Down, and up. Good. For 9, and last one, we're gonna hold just like the first side. Everyone reach down, push your knee out, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand back up. Awesome. Shake it out a little bit. Great. So back to the middle of the room, we're gonna go into a 1-minute standing straddle hold. So start with the feet all the way together, and we're gonna toe heel 5 times. So toes out, 1, then heels out, 2, again toes, 3, then heels, 4, one more time toes, and then just a little bit turn the heels out so you're back to that 5 to 10 degree angle, right? This should be a good distance for most of us. If you feel like you want to go a little bit wider, always feel free to take an extra step. From here, everyone's going to make a basket with their hands, push the hands forward to stretch the shoulders, bring the arms up overhead, and start to hinge and reach the body forward from the front of the palms. The minute you feel like your back wants to start rounding, try and pause and then bring the hands to the floor. We're gonna hold here for 1 minute. This whole time we stay super, super active. So if you're a little tighter like Marcel, he's gonna work on trying to flatten out his hands to the ground and extend his spine, right? If you're a little bit more flexible like Jo, she can bend her elbows and still work on reaching her head all the way forward. Really nice, Jo. And if you're super flexible like Sophia, she's working on reaching her hands back to try and tuck her head all the way between her knees. No matter where you are in this particular stretch, make sure the legs are super tight. You're pushing your feet into the floor, you're squeezing your butt and reaching your spine forward. Looking good, guys. We've got about 20 seconds left. Just keep breathing. Keep checking in with how the hips are feeling, trying to feel that stretch evenly across the back of the hamstrings. Good. Make sure you're breathing. 10 seconds left. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up. Really nice. Take a second and shake the legs out just a little bit. All right, let's go back into the 5-point straddle position, and we'll go into our 6th position Cossack squats. It's okay, Joe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Again, for this one, we only want to have about a 5 to 10 degree turn out of the feet, so the instinct would be to have the feet way too turned out. Just check in with your toes as you get into position. Everyone's going to bring their hands into prayer at the center of the chest, right? Elbows down, shoulders back, and we'll go through. So position 1, we find the bottom of the drop stance in the middle of the room. Good. Keep the elbows inside the legs here. Position 2, bow the chest down, keeping the hips up and the back as flat as you can. Position 3, legs stay still, twist the torso, trying to touch your elbow or your shoulder to your opposite thigh. Position 4, shift your legs and untwist your torso, but stay nice and low. Very nice, team. Position 5, the butt stays low, the chest comes up. Position 6, we stand in the straddle. Perfection. Now the other side, we'll go through it together again. Position 1, bottom of your drop stance. Position 2, keep your legs tight as you bow the chest forward. Beautiful. Position 3, shift the torso over, so twist the oblique a little bit more, Sophia, not up like there, like that. Good. Position 4, we shift and untwist the torso, so you're even facing the floor. Position 5, lift the chest up, keep the butt low. Position 6, stand. Really nice. That's 2. We're gonna go through 10. So I'm gonna call out the numbers. 1. Good. 2. 3. Beautiful. 4. 5. Good. Straighten that leg. Good, Marcel. And up. 6. Good. And again. 1. 2. Good. 3. 4. 5. 6. Very nice. That was 4. We'll go again. 1. 2. 3. 4. Good. Untwist the torso. 5. Butt stays low. And 6. Halfway. 1. 2. Good. 3. Kind of extend your chest a little more, Marcel. Good. 4. Very nice, team. 5. 6. Beautiful. Last 4. Here we go. You're going to your right side first. And 1. Beautiful. 2. 3. Good catch, Joe. 4. Nice. 5. 6. Good. And to the left. 1. Good. 2. Shift over. 3. Shift, untwist. 4. Chest up, butt low. 5. And 6. Beautiful. One more time on each side. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Awesome. Last one. 1, shoulders back a little. Good. 2, check in with your glutes, make sure they're active. 3, find that shift and stretch in the oblique. 4, shift and untwist. 5, chest up, butt low. And for the last time, 6, stand and shake it out just a little bit. Really nice, team. We're setting up a little bit differently for this one just based on the hip flexibility level. If you know your hips are super tight, give yourself a lot of space. Marcella has some boxes set up to about 14 inches. Sophia's hips are a little bit tighter. We have her on yoga blocks. And then Jo, who's got more open hips, will be having her hands on the floor. For this one, I'm actually gonna have you guys start standing. And let's start in a cross lunge with the left foot, or excuse me, a cross stance with the left foot in front of the right foot. Right, so we want this slight cross as we go ahead and slide the right foot back until you're in a very, very, very long lunge position. Right, blocks, hands, or boxes should be set up so that the thumb is about in line with the knuckles of your foot. all right? And we're in a long enough lunge that the front leg shin is absolutely parallel to the ground. No matter what in this position, keep that knife edge of your foot all the way down to the heel in contact with the floor. For this one, we're gonna start by opening up to the outside edge of the left foot. Then from here, you're gonna slowly drop the hips and lift your chest, only as far as the hips and knees remain in an even line. Once you're at your bottom position, pull straight back up. Make sure to lift the belly with you. There's one. And then again, so the knee opens up. We let the hips drop only enough to help facilitate the stretch, and then come right back up. There's two. Again, open down, chest up, beautiful. And up for three, good. Down. Find the stretch, but don't let the right hip drop below the left hip. Back up. Good. There's four. Again, down. And notice in this one, as we get tired, the hips will stay really low. Back up. Good. Five. As we go to the top, use your core here. Down. Nice team. Back up. Good. There's six. Again, down. A little bit more here. That's it, Joe. Oh, that's why. And up. Good. There's seven. And again, down. Good, Marcel. Pull this knee back just a little. Beautiful. And up. There's eight. Down. Good. Back up for nine. Good. Down, and we're gonna hold this one for 10 seconds. Down and hold. Good. So Sophie, I'm gonna have you a little extend this knee. We wanna keep that back knee off the floor. Good. For six. Beautiful. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up. Great. All right. So other side. So right foot's gonna go in front of your left foot in that tight crossed stance position. Go ahead and slide the left foot back, maintaining that slightly crossed center line, right? Again, we'll keep the back knee off the ground, but it's okay if it bends a little bit. When you're ready, go to that knife edge of the right foot. Open the knee, press the hips down without pressing the left below the right, and then back up. Beautiful. There's one. Again, down, lift your chest a little bit more, Joe. That's it. And up for two. Down. Good. And up for three. Down. Good stretch on the outside butt cheek. Then use that lower belly. Pull back up all the way to that tall lunge. 4. Again. Down. Lovely team. Back up. For 5, good, down, make sure the back knee stays off the ground here, and up, for 6, down, beautiful, back up, 7, last 3, down, chest up, elbows straight, good, and up, for 8, 2 more, down, and up, there's 9, down to the bottom, we're gonna hold the stretch here, for 10, good, 9, 8, 7, beautiful, 6, check in with those hips, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back up, lovely. Okay, into our supine windmills or supine flares. So everyone's gonna lay all the way down on your back, right? Hands can be anywhere from right by your side to out to the side in a T shape. It's gonna be a little tougher the closer the hands are to the ears, so pick your poison where you wanna be for today. The next bit, everyone's gonna lift both their feet up straight to start, right? And then really press your tailbone and your lower back into the ground, like you're trying to melt your belly button into the floor. So squeeze the legs as tightly as you can, right? The muscles of the legs to keep them as straight as possible. Let's lower the right leg first. And this is the start. Head on the floor, Marcel. Relax your neck. There we go. Good. All right. This is the start position. From here, we keep the quads, the front of the legs, as tight as possible. Turn the hips open and create a big circle with the feet until the left leg is up and the right leg is down. Very nice. Both feet stay off the floor. That's 1. And we're going to go back now to the first side. So go in the other direction, maintaining that lower belly pressing into the floor. And 2, good. And again, you guys are gonna keep going here. One of the things to make sure to notice, if you find your hips are clicking really, really like uncomfortably, keep moving guys, you got this for 10. If you notice your hips are clicking uncomfortably, you can shorten the range of motion in the circle right? So Jo might do that a little bit since her hips are pretty poppy. So she's gonna go a little bit shorter with her circle, and just make sure you're really keeping the legs as straight as possible. I'm guessing you guys are on about 6 here. Awesome, all right, again, we roll, pressing into the lower belly, as we mentioned. I want the abs to be working really hard here. Beautiful, that's 8. One more time in each direction. Good, awkward foot touch. And one more. There's 10, relax, really nice, guys. Into our active straddle, our seated straddle work. So everyone's going to sit. If you know you're super tight in your hamstrings and your hips, you can elevate your seat a little bit. We've got Marcel on a couple blocks. If you're feeling good today, go ahead and sit on the floor. When you guys are ready, into that open straddle position. So with the straddle position, we want to be not at a 180, but you do want a minimum 90-degree angle between the legs, right? If you're super flexible like Jo, I'm gonna adjust her position. So Jo, go ahead and flex your feet. If you notice Jo's heels come up off the ground a little bit, what I'm gonna have her do is press the heels into the ground, but stay exactly as active as though her knees were hyperextending that way. This is gonna force her hips to stay on a little bit more instead of using the knees too much. Everyone else will have you guys point your toes, and no matter what, make sure that your kneecap is always facing the ceiling, right? So we never want the hips to turn in or out as we're moving. They are anchored into the floor. We're gonna start with our straddle walk forward. So when you guys are ready, go ahead and take your fingers in front of you, either on the floor or as close to it as you can get. Walk as far forward as you can. We try to keep a flat back, but a little rounding here is okay. The most important thing is that we keep the kneecaps facing up. Once you've reached your peak stretch, just go ahead and slide back up, pulling in from the lower core that we just used from our flares. That's beautiful. We'll go 10 times here as well. Everyone reach forward. Very nice. Good. And back up. There's 2. And again, extend from the ankles or press into the heels, depending on what you've done with your feet. And up. Beautiful, team. There's 3. Again, reach forward. And back up. There's 4, good, reach forward. It's okay if the butt lifts off the floor or the blocks a little bit, but you really wanna try and keep pressing it into the ground. And we go back up for 5, good. Again, forward. Very knees and the ankles, beautiful. Back up, and again, forward. Good, press the butt into the floor, and back up, good. 3 more. Reach forward. Notice here, we don't want to tuck the butt too much, but you don't want to let this be initiated from the hips and the lower, beautiful. Back up. There's 8, last 2. Press into those heels, Jo. Forward. Back up for 9. Last one, you're going to reach and hold. So reach into your peak stretch. We hold there. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back up. Straddle walks. For this one, stay in your straddle position. Everyone's gonna reach over to their right side first. For my people on the floor, both hands should be in contact with the floor on the outside of your leg. Ideally, if you're up and elevated, the same thing is happening, but if you can't quite reach the floor, just have both of your hands to one side. Everyone's gonna now start to walk their hands forward and make the widest possible circle as you walk around to the other side. The goal for this one is not to let your butt lift up off the floor. So in this case, right, we're actively pressing down into the right glute as we reach to the left side. Take a quick pause and then we'll go back to the other side, right? So from here, this leg is gonna try and lift up. So Sophia's gonna really press her hip down as she stretches her oblique over to the other side. That's perfect, guys, that's 2. And then again, reach over. Very nice. Looks great, Marcel. Keep making that nice wide circle. Good. There's 3, press down a little more, good. And again, walk around. Nice, team. There's 4. Remember to always check in to the other side. Go for it. Always check in with your feet, right? Make sure if you've decided to point or flex the toes, you're just sticking with your decision. Beautiful. Halfway, that's 5. And again, back to the first side. Always try and make the circle just a little bit wider every time you step your fingers around. Perfect, there's 6. Again, reach. Excuse me, Joe. Beautiful, 7, again. There's 8, last 2 again, reach around. First side, really keep checking in with the outer butt cheek. Make sure butt is staying super, super even to the floor. That's beautiful, there's 9, last one. Reach over. Good, make contact both hands outside of that first foot, and 10. Good, shake the legs out just a little bit. Last drill here in our straddle seated position. It's gonna be seated good mornings. We have a couple options here. So if you're like Marcel and you're elevated on blocks and we're worried about a slightly rounded spine, you're gonna take your hands onto your shoulders and keep the elbows up nice and high. Jo has more flexibility, so she's gonna put her fingers on her temples, and Sophia has flexibility with strength, so she's gonna keep her arms overhead. If you're in Sophia's option, make sure as you move, the arms don't come away from your ears. You want that nice overhead position the whole time. Wherever your arms are, everyone's going to reach their belly button towards the floor as low as you can, without shifting the knees or the feet. The legs stay nice and steady. Beautiful, team. Once you find your bottom position, go ahead and use the hips to pull back up. There's 1, and then again, really make sure the knees stay in position here. We don't want the legs to turn in too much as we move forward. Push through the outside butt cheek to come back up. There's 2. Again, reach forward, flattest possible spine, or reaching those elbows forward for additional length, and back up. There's 3. Again, reach forward. Nice, team. And back up. There's 4. Good. Always check in with your feet. Reach forward. Notice if they're flexing, pointing, or rotating. And up. Very nice. Again, reach forward. Good. And back up. That's about halfway. And again, reach forward. Good. If I'm wrong, let me know. And back up. Good. 6. Again, forward. Find length across your spine and strengthen the lower belly. Beautiful. And up. There's 7. Again, reach forward. Keep checking in with that position of the back or the strength in the arms if they're over your head. Back up. That's 8. Last 2. Reach forward. And back up for 9. Good. Last one. Find your bottom position that you can hold. We're going to hold here, hovering above the floor. 10. 9, 8, squeeze, squeeze, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, beautiful, 2, 1, and back up. Really nice, guys. You can shake the legs out just a little bit. Our next is diamond frog. So I'm gonna have everyone turn about 45 degrees to face me so you can see what they're doing with their feet. For this one, we start seated, feet together, and you're gonna bring your knees nice and wide. Come onto your hands or your forearms and crawl yourself forward till your chest is on the floor, and find the position of the knees either wider or closer together that you can press your hips completely flat to the ground. We don't want to see any space between this part of the hip here, right? From here, once you've completely flattened out your hips to the ground, start to imagine pulling your feet closer to the floor. What you should find is this funny spot where it feels like you're battling. Like if your feet go any lower, your butt's gonna come up, and then when you press your hips down, your feet come up. Keep yourself in that kind of funky, crampy stretch. That should be a nice open hip stretch here. And we're gonna hold for about 90 seconds. Right, so this one we have a number of options for the upper body, right? You see Marcel and Sophia are staying a little more upright in this one, and Joe's pretty flat to the floor. Anything works as long as it's something you can hold comfortably. And again, we don't want to lose that pressing of the hips into the ground. Everyone's feet are at slightly different heights. I don't anticipate that most people are going to be as low as Joe is in this position, where she's just about touching the floor with her feet, right? Most of us will start more where Marcel and where Sophia are. The feet will come closer with time. We really just make sure in this one that we keep the form as best we can. All right, we're about halfway done. We have about 45 seconds left. If you feel like you want the stretch to be more challenging, try and bring your knees up a little bit higher, and then keep checking in with if you can keep the hips as flat to the floor as possible. Really nice, team, about 30 seconds left. Good. And then one thing to notice on this one too, Sophia, I'm gonna adjust your feet a little bit. Sometimes the feet do this and they pull up in this direction. We don't want this. You also don't want to try and pull just your toes down towards the floor. It's going to be a little funny. We want that kind of nice parallel angle here, right? So drop the toes so you feel my hand right there. And then if Sophia pulls her heels down evenly, she's going to feel that more around her hips. You guys look good. We're going to go for about 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Come on out of it. Shake the legs side to side. Frog pose is next. So for this one, if you feel a lot of pressure on the inside of your leg, come out of the stretch a little bit and just focus on squeezing your muscles in this position as much as possible. For the rest of us, I'm gonna have everyone crawl forward onto all fours. And then from here, flex the feet, right? So kind of pull the toe up into that 90-degree angle and get the whole inside of the foot on the ground. So you'll start to pull the knees apart. From here, we want to check in that the hips and the knees are in the same lines. Everyone's going to just a little bit shift their hips back. Very nice. And then we check in to make sure that we have a nice 90-degree angle on the legs here. So hips and knees are in one line, knees and feet are in one line. From here, you can stay on your hands or come down to your forearms, but pull the knees as far apart as possible that we keep that nice alignment in our body, right? And you're going to find a spot where you're pretty stuck. From here, we're also gonna hold for about 90 seconds, right? Really nice, Joe. So we see for this one, we don't really wanna worry about tucking or untucking the hips here, but you do want to imagine, like the diamond frog, that you're trying to press your hips closer to the floor, right? So the hips are nice and active here, right? We're not just kind of sitting into this stretch. We're doing our best to hold the position where we are, right? So again, if you feel too much pressure on the inside of your leg, come out of the stretch a little bit and then just work on squeezing and supporting yourself in this position. A little overcorrection, Sophia. Yeah, that's better. That looks much nicer. Good, you guys are just about halfway through. It's also totally fine here. Don't stress too much about the back being flat or the back being rounded in this particular case. You can see Joe's spine is a little more round. Sophia's spine is a little more extended. They're both still in a really solid frog position here. So whatever you want to do to keep yourself as comfortable as possible in that low hip position, absolutely just make sure it's something you can hold for a longer period of time. We've got about 25 seconds left, right? And then check in from here. We see Marcel starting to shift forward because his hips don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to shift him back to where we want him to be. Very nice. Always just take a check-in. Stretches like this that we hold for long periods of time, we tend to come out of them every once in a while as they get challenging. We're almost there though. You guys are gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on out of it. Oh, so calm. Butterfly stretch. For this one, bring the soles of the feet together and bring the hands as best you can outside the front of the ankles, right? We don't want to grab the ankles after the setup position. You can grab your ankles to pull the feet closer in towards your hips, but from there, reach the hands in front of the feet, right? Imagine that the soles of the feet are like a book. You're gonna start to try and open the soles of the feet away from each other, which will help to pull the knees closer to the floor. And then from there, just reach the hands as far forward as you can while maintaining that open book sensation with the soles of the feet. We're gonna hold this stretch for about a minute, just staying as active as possible. This particular stretch, you should feel a lot of activity in the outside of the hip and a big stretch on the inside of the leg, right? If you find this one is impossible, like you can't even sit up in this position, you can find something around the house, like a kitchen leg, a table leg, the edge of a chair, the edge of a couch. Use that to wrap your hands around and reach forward rather than reaching for the floor, right? And if it's really impossible, you can elevate yourself and sit on a yoga block, a stack of pillows, whatever is comfortable. You guys look great. We're a little over halfway done. We've got about 20 seconds left, right? And then again for this one, just keep checking in. Are you still pulling the feet apart from each other? Are we reaching the knees down towards the floor? Can you take one further step forward with the hands? Really nice, guys. We're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Beautiful. For this next part, we're gonna have two different options. If you're more advanced in your middle split, you're gonna follow along with Sophia and Joe. If you need a little bit more time to open up your middle split, you'll follow along with Marcel. So for my more advanced middle splitters, we're going to work on what's called a pull through. In this particular movement, imagine it like a shoulder rotation, but for your hips, right? From here, you're gonna start in your seated pike, pull the feet apart into a wide straddle. You can, if you are as flexible as Sophia, you can kind of pull yourself forward, right? Joe's gonna give herself a little bit of a lift up until she can reach forward. You go until you're laying flat on your stomach and pull the feet together. And we reverse the same way. So the feet come apart. You give yourself as much of a lift as you need to walk back into your seated straddle position, and then we pull the feet together. So that's your pull through. If you find in this one you can't get yourself up off the ground, don't stress, right? Follow along with Marcel and just keep working the rest of the video. Over time, this will open up. For Marcel, he's gonna go hands on the floor, knees bent as much as he needs to, and then open the feet into the widest middle split standing position that he can hold comfortably. From here, Marcel's gonna squeeze his hips as hard as he can, push his hips forward, and stand all the way up into what we call the isometric middle split. Joe and Sophia, you guys can get started. We're gonna time for 90 seconds. So in the isometric middle split, it looks like he's just standing here doing nothing, and I promise you that's not what's happening. While Marcel's in this position, he's trying to find that same kind of pushing forward of the butt cheeks that you get from your diamond frog and your frog pose. We have an action isometrically in the feet, where Marcel is kind of trying to push his feet together and pull them apart at the same time without moving them. You can see he's getting a little shaky in this part of the hip because that's what's working here. If you find you're standing in your straddle position and it's not making sense or it's not that challenging, the options are to try and push your hips forward more or just go wider with the feet. The wider you are with the feet, the more challenging this position is. It's about 30 seconds. We have about a minute left. For my pull through people, you really want to do 5 to 10 at the absolute max here. Any more than 10, it's just kind of risking too much of a stretch in the legs. And if you're working towards this position, start with the goal of 3 to 5. Okay? Joe and Sophia have been working on their middle split for a very long time, so they have a little bit more experience in this one and therefore can keep moving back and forth. One of the keys eventually for the pull through is the idea that the hips do not move, right? So we're pulling the legs around the hips. All right, guys, we go forward. Good, feet together. Find that slide out of the feet and push through. Once you're at that parallel point, try and pull the feet forward. Beautiful. And again. All right, let the action come from the hips here as much as possible. Good, and then again. Out and around, pull the feet back to the pike. Beautiful. One more time. Really nice, team. And back. Good. Last stretch for today. If you have the space, we're going to come into a middle split on the wall. For this one, the entry is a little strange. Come into kind of a fetal position with your butt touching the wall. Right? From here, you're gonna cartwheel the legs until they're up and together on the wall. From here, check in with your lower back. We wanna make sure the lower back is flat to the ground. If you also notice that you can't straighten out your legs or if you can't press your back flat to the ground, just scoot your butt a little bit further from the wall until your whole spine from your tailbone to your neck is as flat as possible. Once you're there, everyone's gonna point their toes, squeeze the front of the legs as much as you can, let gravity take you into a nice wide straddle position, and we'll hold here for about 90 seconds. With this position, you want to push it just enough. It should almost feel like the isometric middle split. I want gravity to do some of the work in terms of the stretching for me, but I also want to stay active. I'm pressing my lower belly into the ground, pushing my feet into the wall, and also have that idea, not that your feet have to pull down to the floor, but that the feet are just reaching out of the hip socket as much as possible. All right, with this one, just kind of our nice relaxing stretch, making sure we're checking in at all times with the core. You guys are doing super, super well. We have about a minute left. Good. And watch here on this one. Don't let the feet turn out too much, right? Kind of like in our seated straddle, a little turnout is okay, but if you go too far in the turnout, you might feel this in your knee, kind of in the inner knee. If that happens, it's not always a bad thing. That can happen in this stretch sometimes, but a good check-in is just to imagine the front of the leg is constantly facing back towards you. Over here, you guys look great. Options for the arms are whatever is comfortable. Arms by your side like Marcel, you're gonna have a little more pressure and support in the arms. Arms across the stomach like Joe, less pressure out to the side or overhead like Sophia. Definitely a lot more pressure into the hips for support. You guys look great. We have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Come on out of it. And that's our straddle stretch series.